GM?
Sure. Let's talk about GM. General Motors.
Yeah.
They were bound to do something right eventually. You know, broken clock is right at least twice a day.
It's like they got 10% on a Scantron, but they figured it out at the end.
General Motors has announced that they will be bringing back their line of plug-in hybrid EVs, which they retired back in 2019 at the worst possible time with the end of the Chevy Volt. The company has been under significant pressure from dealerships who have been struggling both to meet consumer demand for hybrids and to sell battery-only EVs in the quantity that's required by their carbon reduction quotas. How many times have I said the Volt was an amazing car? It was just ahead of its time, and if their problem was the lack of demand, so their dealers have apparently figured it out. They could have sold this thing. It's such a cool car.
Yeah.
You only have to burn gas if you're going plug-in hybrid just makes so much sense.
They're
for
awesome.
Most people. And they just couldn't figure out how to sell it. Like, man, I'd read... anytime I want to just be angry, I'll go and read like Chevy Volt message board messages and stuff. And people will be like, yeah, I worked at a dealership. This guy brings his car in and he brings it in for a trade-in. And I'm like, oh yeah, the like lifetime fuel economy is really high. He's like, yeah, I never plugged it in. Like not once. The fuck are you doing? You could do your daily commute on battery, and then anytime you need to go far, you just put gas in it. It's the best of both worlds. You don't have to strip mine the entire country to get all the lithium because they just have small batteries, and you don't have to just like put gas in every week because you just really like consuming gas.
Because the vast majority of most people's driving is A, extremely predictable, and B, not super long range. But you want your car to be able to do that sometimes.
So you don't have that anxiety.
The EV solution is enormous batteries.
Yeah, and they're not so heavy because they don't have gigantic batteries in them.
So they actually end up being crazy fuel efficient.
And I get it. They were pretty expensive to produce, but they managed to discontinue it right before car prices went like this in general. Anywho. Other manufacturers also seem to be jumping on the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle bandwagon. As of now, there are 33 different PHEV models available in the US. 6 different automakers have 3 or more PHEV models available, and even Lamborghini launched a plug-in hybrid in 2023, though they don't plan to introduce an EV until 2028. Our discussion question here is, was EV adoption pushed too hard? And did Elon Musk bamboozle all of us when really we should have switched to hydrogen and called it a century? I mean, I'm not going to try to speak to the whole hydrogen fuel cell thing. I got to be honest with you guys. It's not a technology that I understand well enough to comment on all the infrastructure challenges that would have been involved in that. But what I will say is that for most people, at the time of the introduction of the Model S, when the Chevy Volt was still in its early days, like the first gen Chevy Volt kind of sucked. And that's the reason that I didn't buy a Prius Prime back when I bought my secondhand Chevy Volt, was because the range wasn't good enough. It was like 30 miles or something like that. It's not enough. The second gen Volt, though, could do, I think, something like 55. I only know it in kilometers. It'll go anywhere from 60, 70 to 100 kilometers, depending on the weather. And once that thing launched, for most people, I think it made more sense than a full electric vehicle. Yeah, it was pretty expensive up front. And I could see a lot of people looking at it going, oh, well, I might as well just go full EV. But that's the thing. Depending on your usage, you could basically go full EV. I did well over 80% of my driving in that car on battery. And then anytime I needed to go really far, I could.
Yeah.
I know, the sex appeal. Not much. I get it.
But you can make plug-in hybrid cars that have a lot.
You could. They just didn't.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the Volt was an okay-looking car.
I think it was fine.
I think it could have been. I think there could have been things about it.
It had notable family car energy.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it was bad at all.
Definite dad energy. Yeah, the 2024 Prius. People have been like drooling over this thing, and it finally has decent range. And it's just Chevy is not there to participate in a market that they practically invented. Yeah. It's just sorry, GM. So Chevy, the sub-brand of GM, Chevy Volt, General Motors. It's just mind-blowing to me how at every possible turn, GM can get electrification just 180 degrees from correct.
Yeah. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, Cough EV1 says Sifulus in Floatplane chat. 100%. Yeah, new Prius Prime looks pretty nice, actually. What's the range on this thing, though? Blah, 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 blah. And that's oh man, see, this is the other thing that people don't realize about these plug-in hybrids, is that not only do you drive on pure electric a lot of the time, but when you are burning gas, they are just wildly efficient.
Yeah.
4.4, 4.6 city highway. Like, what?
Yeah, that's wild.
That's awesome. Specifications, here we go. Okay, show me my all battery range though. Where are we at here? Horsepower, kilowatts. Okay, what is this measure? Is horsepower a metric? Sorry. Anyway, hold on one sec. Like what are you even talking about? Anyway, okay, hold on. Wait, why is this dimensions? Why is horsepower a dimension?
That's actually really weird.
I don't know, man.
Wow, that's odd.
Stuff happens, you know? I've decided to be less judgy. Okay, I don't know. Maybe someone knows. That 4.4 is liters per 100 kilometers. Just want to clarify that. I'm on the Canadian site. Kilowatts are metrics in engine power. You know, I know, but how are horsepower and kilowatts the same? Are they? Are they, though? Kilowatts versus horsepower. There's no way that a horsepower is exactly 1,000 watts. I don't believe that.
A power level of 1 horsepower is approximately equivalent to 746 watts, or 0.746 kilowatts.
Okay, and there's the mechanical and hydraulic horsepower. I don't even care anymore.
To convert from horsepower to watts, simply multiply by 746.
Nope, I'm over it.
To convert from watts to horsepower, simply multiply by multiply by 0.00134.
Yeah. So anyway, good job, Toyota.
Yeah.
Missing an absolutely critical spec from the page altogether, how far it can go on battery, and then also
horsepower is a dimension.
Yeah, sure.